I sponsored a godly village girl to America. Today, I'm holding her green card in my hand. And today, I'm burning it. The day that card arrived, my wife called 911. I don't care about the kids, Chitty. I'm calling 911. The house is mine. That was my wife. The girl my mother swore was a lamb. My name is Emeka. And this is how obedience almost sent me to prison. My people, come close. No, I mean really look at me. Do you see these gray hairs on my beard? I'm only 32. But stress can turn a young man into an old man overnight. I wasn't always like this. 10 years ago, I landed in America with one suitcase and a dream. I worked in the snow until my fingers went numb. I drove trucks while my eyes barely stayed open. I lifted boxes in warehouses until my back screamed. And God blessed me. I built a mansion. I sent money home. In my village in the east, they call me Omiogo, the one who does good. But while the village celebrated me, I was dying in silence. Because I was the golden son for my mother, Chioma. And when you are the golden son, you don't choose your happiness. You choose obedience. And sometimes, obedience can destroy you. Before the nightmare began, there was a woman. Her name was Brielle. If I talk about her, my heart still shakes. She was a lawyer here in the States. Smart, beautiful, strong. She loved my culture. She tried to speak Igbo just to make me laugh. She helped me with my taxes. She prayed with me. She loved me. And I loved her. So one day I called my mother. I said, Mama, I have found the one. The silence on that phone was colder than American winter. Then she spoke. Emeka, a lawyer? You want to marry a woman who knows her rights? Those women will call police for you. They don't respect men. If you marry her, don't call me your mother again. My people, that night I chose my mother over my happiness. I sat Brielle down in our favorite restaurant and ended it. She looked at me and said, Emeka, I can fight for you. But I cannot fight your mother. And just like that, I buried my own future. After I broke Brielle's heart, my mother became sweet. Too sweet. She said, Don't worry, my prince. I've found you a lamb. A real village girl. A girl who fears God. A girl who will never embarrass you. A girl who will never call police. Her name was Ijeoma, daughter of Deacon Sunday. Quiet. Reserved. Always looking down. No makeup. No trousers. No social media. A perfect lamb. Or so I thought. What I didn't know was that some lambs only bow their heads, so you don't see their fangs. I was so broken from losing Brielle that I just said, Okay, Mama, do what you want. I convinced myself that maybe my mother saw something I didn't. I thought, in Africa, we say the mother sees further while sitting down than a son sees while standing on a tree. I thought I was getting a home-trained wife who would make my home a sanctuary. I thought I was getting a woman who would pray for me while I worked. I didn't know that some people only pray so that God can give them the strength to finish their evil plans. I didn't know that home training can be a mask that people wear until they get their visa. I was waiting for a lamb, but the village was preparing a professional actress to come and take center stage in my life. I was paying for a wedding, but I was actually paying for a heist. 3 months later, I was on a flight. 15 hours from New York to Lagos. My heart was heavy like a stone. When I got to the village, the celebration was too much. They slaughtered cows. They sang songs. They called me the American King. My mother took me to Ijeoma's house. It was a humble place. I saw her. She was wearing a simple skirt and a blouse. She wouldn't even look at my face. She brought a bowl of water and knelt down to wash my feet. My mother was whispering in my ear, You see? You see the respect? Can your lawyer woman do this? Ijeoma was quiet. She said, Welcome, sir. Her voice was like a tiny bell. I thought, okay, she is shy. She is innocent. We sat for hours. I asked her, Ijeoma, what do you want in life? She replied, I just want to be a good wife and serve my husband. My people, I fell for it. I paid the bride price. It was heavy, but I didn't care. I bought wrappers, I bought jewelry, I gave her father a motorcycle. We did the traditional wedding in the village square. I saw the way the village girls looked at her with envy. They thought she had won the lottery. I thought I had won a peaceful life. I didn't know I had just signed a contract with a woman who was counting the days until she could stop pretending. The day Ijeoma, now calling herself Jane, arrived in America, it was December. The airport was busy. I saw her coming out of the gate and I felt a sense of pride. This is my wife, I told myself. I took her to my big house. I had decorated the master bedroom with flowers. I bought her a brand new iPhone so she could call her mother. But that first night things started to feel strange. I sat her down to eat the jollof rice I had prepared. She looked at the phone, then at me. "Emeka," she said. "This house is big, but why is there no maid?" I laughed. "Jane, this is America. We do things ourselves here." She frowned. "But you are a big man. My friends in the village said I would have people serving me." Then she looked at the phone. She didn't call her mother. She started downloading apps. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Within 1 week, the girl who wouldn't look at my face was taking selfies in the mirror. She started complaining about her clothes. "These village skirts are too long," she said. "I want to look like the women on TV." I told her, "Jane, take it easy. Let's learn the culture first." She just looked at me and said, "I am a fast learner, Emeka. You will see." My people, she wasn't just learning the culture. She was deleting the idioma I married and installing a new version that was ready to crash my system. The lamb had landed, and it was already looking for where to sharpen its claws. My people, listen. They say that knowledge is power, but they never tell you that in the hands of a person with no conscience, knowledge is a weapon. I decided that I didn't want my wife to just sit at home. I wanted her to have her own career. I said, "Jane, I will pay for you to go to nursing school. It's a good job in America. You will have your own money and you will be proud." I paid every kobo. I bought her a car to drive to classes, a brand new SUV, not a second-hand one. I wanted her to feel like a queen. But as she started school, the transformation began. It wasn't just that she was learning about medicine, she was learning how to devolve. Every day she came home, her voice got a little louder. Her skirts got a little shorter. One day, I saw her looking at herself in the mirror for 2 hours. "Jane, are you not late for your clinicals?" I asked. She didn't even turn around. "Emeka, stop monitoring me. I am a student, not a prisoner. In this country, women have schedules. Don't disturb my vibe." Vibe? My people, I was confused. Where did a village girl from the East learn the word vibe? I realized then that while I was paying for her to learn how to save lives as a nurse, she was spending her break time learning how to destroy mine. She was making friends with women who told her that her husband was her oppressor, just because he asked what time. In a proper African home, the kitchen is the heart. The smell of onugbu soup, the sound of the pounding, that is what makes a house feel like a home. But in my house, the heart stopped beating. Jane finished school and got a job at a big hospital. The first thing she did with her first paycheck wasn't to buy something for the house. No. She went and bought a wig that cost $1,200. She bought shoes that had red bottoms. "Jane," I said one evening, "the kids are hungry. I've been working all day. Is there anything to eat?" She was sitting on the sofa, scrolling through Instagram, laughing at a video. She didn't even look up. "There is cereal in the cabinet, Emeka. Or you can order pizza. I am a working woman now. I'm tired. I cannot be a nurse for 12 hours and then come and be a cook for you. We are equal in this house." I stood there looking at her. I remembered how she knelt with a bowl of water in the village. I remembered how my mother said she was a lamb. "Equal?" I asked. "I pay the mortgage. I pay the car notes. I pay the light bill. I paid for the school that gave you that job. All I'm asking for is a home-cooked meal for our family." She finally looked at me and her eyes were like 2 pieces of flint. "If you want to cook, go back to the village and find another slave. I am an American nurse now. Deal with it." You would think that having children would soften a woman's heart. When our son Obinna was born, she was a bit better. But when the twin girls came, something in Jane just snapped. It was like she resented them for tying her down. I remember coming home from work. I was tired, my head was spinning from the pressure of my business, and I found the twins crying in their cribs. Their diapers were heavy. They were red from screaming. And where was Jane? She was in the other room, wearing noise-canceling headphones, watching a makeup tutorial. I snatched the headphones off her head. "Jane, the babies are crying. Can't you hear them?" She looked at me with so much hatred I felt it in my bones. "They are always crying. Why is it always my job? You wanted kids, Emeka. You wanted a traditional family. Well, here it is. Enjoy it." She stood up, grabbed her car keys and walked out. She didn't come back until 2 a.m. I was the one who fed them. I was the one who bathed them. I was the one who cried that night, wondering if I had brought a mother or a stranger into my house. My people, a woman who can hear her own blood screaming and choose to ignore it. That is not a lamb. That is something else entirely. Who are you following? That is the question every man should ask his wife. Jane joined a group of liberated women at the hospital. They had a WhatsApp group called the Queens. But these queens didn't have kings, they had victims. One Saturday I saw her getting ready to go out. She was wearing a dress that was so tight she could barely breathe. "Where are you going, Jane?" "It's 9 p.m. I'm going out with my girls. We are celebrating Linda's divorce." "Celebrating a divorce?" "Jane, that is a tragedy, not a celebration. To you it's a tragedy. To us it's a graduation," she shouted. Then she leaned in close and I smelled it, that dry gin. She had been drinking in the bedroom before coming out. "Listen to me," I said, holding her arm firmly. "These women will ruin you. They are jealous of what you have. They want you to be lonely like them." She pushed my hand away. "They are not jealous. They are showing me the light. They told me that you are trying to gaslight me. They told me that in America, if a man tells a woman who to be friends with, it is emotional abuse. Do you want me to call the police? Because Linda's lawyer is on speed dial." I stepped back. The word police in America is a heavy word. She knew it. She used it like a knife. This was the night the peace finally died. I waited for her in the living room. It was 3 a.m. The house was pitch black. When she walked in, she was stumbling. She was singing a song I didn't recognize. I turned on the lamp. She jumped. "Emeka, you scared me. What is wrong with you?" I stepped closer to her. My heart was thumping against my ribs. I wanted to be the man, the head of the house, but I felt like I was walking on eggshells. "Jane, look at yourself. You are a mother of 3. You are a nurse. You are a wife. But you are behaving like a girl with no home. I am telling you now as your husband, this must stop. I don't want you keeping those friends. They will deceive you. They are leading you to a pit. I know what is best for you, Jane. I brought you here to give you a life, not to watch you throw it away." She didn't look ashamed. She didn't look sad. She stepped even closer to me, so close I could see the makeup cracking on her face. "You know what's best for me?" she whispered, her voice dripping with venom. "You don't even know who I am. You married a girl who knelt for you because she was hungry. Well, I'm not hungry anymore, Emeka. I've tasted the gin and I've tasted the freedom. Your home training is dead. If you don't like the new Jane, there is the door. But remember, if I leave, I'm taking half of everything you own. Try me." She walked past me, bumping my shoulder, and as she went upstairs, she laughed. A loud, wicked laugh that echoed through the halls of my $2 million mansion. I sat down on the floor and put my head in my hands. I realized then that my mother's lamb didn't just have teeth. She had a plan. My people, have you ever lived with someone and felt like you were living with a ghost? Not a quiet ghost, but a ghost that screams and breaks things. That was Jane. After that night, she told me she wasn't hungry anymore. She stopped hiding it. I started finding things. I went to throw away the trash and I saw empty bottles. Not wine, not beer. Raw dry gin. Cheap gin. I found them under the sink. I found them in the basket where we keep the children's dirty clothes. I even found a small bottle hidden inside one of her nursing shoes. One afternoon I came home early because the twins had a fever. I walked into the kitchen and there was Jane. She wasn't wearing her scrub suit. She was in her bathrobe, her hair was scattered like someone who had been in a fight, and she was pouring gin into her coffee mug at 2 p.m. "Jane? What is this? The children are upstairs sick and you are drinking this early?" She looked at me with red eyes. She didn't even try to hide the bottle. "It's the only way I can stand to look at your face, Emeka. It's the only way I can forget that I'm stuck in this boring house with a man who thinks he's a god because he bought me a car." She took a long sip and slammed the mug on the counter. Crack. The ceramic broke, but she didn't even care. She just walked past me, smelling like a brewery, and went to sleep while her daughters were crying for water upstairs. I stood there looking at the broken mug and I knew the woman I brought from the village was gone. This person was a stranger. It reached a point where I was afraid to come home. Can you imagine? A man who worked 2 jobs, a man who built a mini empire, afraid to enter the door of the house he paid for. I came home one Friday night. I had bought suya from the African market to see if I could make her happy, to see if we could just sit and talk like human beings. I found Jane in the dining room with her queens, those friends from the hospital. They were all drinking. The house was loud with music that was shaking the windows. "Jane," I said, "please, the children are trying to sleep. Can your friends go home?" One of the women, Linda, the one who celebrated her divorce, looked at me and laughed. Is the big man angry?" "Jane, tell your boy to calm down. We are just having fun." Jane stood up, her face flushed with the gin. She grabbed the plate of suya I brought and threw it across the room. Splat. The meat hit the wall. "Get out, Emeka," she screamed. "This is my house too. These are my friends. If you don't like it, go sleep in the garage with your African pride. Her friends started cheering. My people, I felt a heat in my chest that I can't describe. I wanted to scream, I wanted to throw them all out, but I saw Jane's hand reaching for her phone. She was waiting for me to lose my temper. She was waiting for me to touch her so she could call the police. I turned around and walked out. I sat in my car in the driveway and cried. A 32-year-old man, crying in his Lexus because he was homeless in his own mansion. The next morning I called my mother. I didn't care about being a big man anymore. I was a broken man. Mama, I said, my voice cracking. The girl you gave me. She is destroying me. She is drinking. She is fighting. She is leaving our children. Mama, she even threw food at me in front of her friends. My mother started her usual wailing. Hey, Chimo. Emeka, my son, it is a lie. My Igioma? The girl that used to kneel to give me water? It must be the water in America. Or maybe those city women have given her a potion. You must take her to a prayer house. You must fast for 7 days. Mama, stop. I shouted. It's not Juju. It's her. She told me she never loved me. She said she only married me to get here. Mama, you forced this on me and now I am drowning. My mother went quiet. Then she said, Emeka, maybe if you give her more money? Maybe she is frustrated because she wants a bigger car. I hung up the phone. I realized then that my mother didn't want to admit she was wrong. She didn't want to admit that her village lamb was a wolf. I was alone. Or so I thought. 2 days later there was a knock at the door. It wasn't a soft knock. It was a heavy, I'm here, kind of knock. I opened the door and I saw him. My older brother, Rowan. Rowan is a man who doesn't smile unless there is a very good reason. He lives in the UK, but he had heard my voice on the phone with Mama and he knew. He didn't even bring a big suitcase. He just had one small bag and a look on his face that said, war. Rowan? What are you doing here? He walked past me looking at the mess in the living room, the empty glasses, the stains on the carpet. I came to see the woman who thinks she can finish my brother, Rowan said. Just then Jane walked down the stairs wearing a very short nightgown holding her phone. Who is this? She asked, looking at Rowan with an attitude. Rowan didn't even answer her. He looked at me and said, Emeka, go and pack the children's things. They are going to stay with my friend for a few days. I need to talk to this lamb your mother found for you. Jane tried her usual trick. She pulled out her phone. I don't care who you are. This is America. I will call 911 right now if you don't leave my house. Rowan didn't move. He didn't even raise his voice. He sat down on the sofa, crossed his legs and looked at her. Call them, Rowan said. Call the police. Tell them your husband's brother is sitting in the living room asking why the children haven't eaten since morning. Tell them why there is dry gin in the diaper bag. Tell them everything, Jane. I have my own phone too and I am recording this whole conversation. Jane froze. She had never met a man who wasn't afraid of her 911 threat. You think you are smart? She hissed. Rowan stood up. He is taller than me and when he stands up the room feels small. I don't think I am smart, Rowan said. I know who you are. I know the boyfriend you left in Enugu. I know the money you've been sending to your father to buy land in his name, not Emeka's name. I am not the good son like my brother. I am the one who brings the truth to the light. From today the party is over. Jane backed away. For the first time I saw fear in her eyes. The wolf had finally met a lion. Rowan turned to me and said, Emeka, put on your shoes. We are going to see a man named John. It's time to find out what this woman has really been doing while you were at work. Rowan drove me to a part of town I didn't visit often. We pulled up to a large garage with a sign that said, John's Auto and Wisdom. John the mechanic is a man from the old school. He has lived in the USA for 40 years. He has fixed the cars of governors and the cars of common men, but more than that, he fixes the lives of brothers who are being played. John, Rowan said as we stepped over piles of scrap metal. My brother is drowning. Tell him what you saw. John wiped his hands on a greasy rag and looked at me with pity. Emeka, my son. I've been trying to find a way to tell you, but you were always in a rush. You remember that SUV you bought for Jane? The one with the tinted windows? She brought it here 3 months ago saying the AC was bad. But when I went to test drive it, I saw her phone left in the cup holder. It was buzzing like a beehive. John leaned in, his voice becoming a whisper. I saw messages, Emeka. Messages from a man named Chitty. And these were not just friends' messages. They were planning your funeral, not your physical death but the death of your bank account. She told him, The fool just paid for my nursing license. One more month and I'll have the card. Then we moved to the next phase. My people, I felt like someone had poured ice water down my spine. My wife, the mother of my 3 children, was calling me a fool to a man she had hidden from me for years. John wasn't done. He walked over to a small workbench and picked up a tiny black box. "Emeka," John said, "in this country if you don't have proof you have nothing. I'm an old man, and I hate to see our African brothers destroyed by the very women they brought here to cherish. I put a small tracking and audio device in that SUV when I fixed the AC. I did it to protect you even if you didn't ask." He pressed a button. The sound was a bit fuzzy but the voice was unmistakable. It was Jane. She was laughing, that same wicked laugh I had heard in my living room. "Chitty babe, you should see him," Jane's voice echoed in the garage. "He thinks I'm at the hospital doing a double shift. But I'm at the hotel. He's home changing diapers like a houseboy. Let him keep working. By the time the divorce papers hit his desk, I'll have the house, the kids, and the child support. We will live like royalty on his sweat." I collapsed onto a stack of tires. I couldn't breathe. My people, I had sacrificed my love for Brielle, I had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, I had been a father and a mother, and it was all a joke to her. A heist. Rowan grabbed my shoulder. "Don't cry, Emeka. Tears are for the weak. Facts are for the strong." Rowan pulled out a folder. He had been busy. I called my contacts back in the East. John helped me get the names. Emeka Ijeoma was never a lamb. She was the village queen, for all the wrong reasons. That man Chitty? He's her real lover. They've been together since she was 19. Her father, the deacon, is in debt to Chitty's family. They used your mother's pride to get Jane a ticket to America. The plan was always for her to get here, get her papers, get a career, and then dump you so she could bring Chitty over as her real husband. Every time she knelt for you in the village, she was picturing Chitty's face. Every time she said "yes, sir" to Mama, she was laughing inside. I looked at the photos Rowan showed me. Photos of Jane in Nigeria, sitting on Chitty's lap, looking happier than she ever looked with me. The home training my mother bragged about was actually theater training. She was an actress, and I was the one paying for the production. We went back to the house. I was different now. I wasn't the good son anymore. I was a man who had seen the devil's blueprint. When we walked in, Jane was in the kitchen, pouring another glass of gin. She looked at us with disgust. "Oh, the 2 brothers are back? Did you go to the village to pray? Because nothing is going to change. I'm going to work tonight, and I don't want to hear a word from either of you." "You're not going to work, Jane?" I said. My voice was cold. It didn't shake. "Oh, and who will stop me?" "You." She laughed and reached for her phone. "I told you, Emeka. One word and I call 911. I'll tell them you're threatening me because I'm a modern woman. I'll have you out of this house in 20 minutes. Rowan stepped forward. "Call them. Go ahead. But before you do, you should know that John the mechanic is currently sitting with an immigration lawyer. And he has a very interesting recording of you talking about marriage fraud and framing a U.S. citizen for a crime. In this country, Jane, they love modern women, but they hate immigration criminals." The phone almost slipped from her hand. Her face went from red to a ghostly pale white. Jane tried to recover. She tried to play the victim. She dropped the phone and started crying, real crocodile tears. "Emeka, they are lying to you. They are jealous of our love. They want to break our home. I only said those things because I was drunk. I love you." She tried to kneel. She actually tried to kneel on my kitchen floor the same way she did in the village. But this time I didn't see a lamb. I saw a snake trying to hide its fangs. "Get up," I said. "Don't dirty my floor with your lies. You have 1 week to pack your things. My brother and John have already documented everything. The gin, the neglect of the children, the recordings of your plan with Chitty. If you fight me in court, I will make sure you don't just lose the house. I will make sure you lose your right to stay in this country." She stood up and the lamb mask finally disintegrated. Her face became twisted with rage. "You think you've won? I've been a nurse for a year. I have my own money. I'll take the kids and you'll never see them again." "The kids stay with me," I said. "Because unlike you, I have a recording of you saying they are just burdens you can use for child support. No judge in this land will give a woman like you those children." She let out a scream that sounded like a wounded animal. She realized the fool had finally woken up. The war was no longer in the shadows. It was in the light. The atmosphere in the house was like a volcano ready to erupt. Jane wasn't talking to me anymore. She was just pacing the halls like a caged animal. Every time a mail truck passed the house, she would jump. She was waiting for that green card. To her, that plastic card was her freedom paper. It was the license to finally kick me out and bring Chitty, her village lover, into my bed. One afternoon, the mail arrived. I saw the envelope, official, heavy, from the U.S. government. My heart was pounding. Jane saw it too. She ran to the door, her hand outstretched, her eyes greedy. "Give it to me. That's mine," she screamed. I held the envelope up high. Rowan stepped out from the shadows of the dining room. "Jane," I said, and my voice was like iron. "You spent 3 years acting a play for this card. You knelt in the dirt, you lied to my mother, you pretended to love me, and you even used my children as props in your movie. You thought America was a place where you could just delete a man's life and keep his money." I didn't open it. I didn't give it to her. I walked straight to the kitchen stove, turned on the flame, and held the corner of the envelope over the fire. "No," she shrieked, lunging at me. Rowan blocked her with one arm. "The government didn't send this to a nurse, Jane," I told her. "They sent it to the wife of Emeka. And since that wife doesn't exist, since she was just a ghost made of gin and lies, this card is no longer needed." I watched the fire curl around the edges. I watched her future turn into black ash and smoke in my kitchen. She fell to the floor, not in respect this time, but in total defeat. She realized that the bush man she was mocking had just burned her bridge back to the life she planned with Chitty. My people, if you ever find yourself in a courtroom in America, make sure you have a man like John the mechanic and a brother like Rowan on your side. The day of the custody hearing, Jane tried one last trick. She showed up with a cheap wig, no jewelry, and she was crying. She told the judge, "Your Honor, I am a simple woman from Africa. My husband is a traditional man who doesn't want me to work. He is jealous of my success as a nurse. He is trying to deport me because I want my independence." The judge, a woman who looked like she had seen everything, looked at me. My lawyer didn't say much. He just handed over a flash drive. Click. The speakers in the courtroom filled with the sound of Jane's voice from John's recording. He fool is home changing diapers. Soon I will have the house and the child support. We will live like royalty on his sweat. The judge's face went from neutral to disgusted. Then we showed the bank statements, the thousands of dollars Jane had been secretly funneling to Chitty in Nigeria while I was paying for her student loans. The judge leaned forward. "Madam, you have not only committed marriage fraud, you have shown a complete lack of moral character. You don't want these children, you want the check that comes with them." The ruling was a total victory. I kept the house. I kept my pension. And most importantly, I kept my children. Jane was ordered to move out within 48 hours. After the court case, I took the children and flew back to Nigeria. I needed the sun of my homeland to wash off the cold of that marriage. When we drove into the village, the news had already spread. The deacon and his family were in hiding because the shame was too much. My mother, Chioma, was sitting on a wooden bench in front of the house I built for her. She looked old. She looked tired. When she saw me, she didn't shout, "My prince." She just started to cry. "Emeka," she sobbed, holding my feet. "I killed your joy." I looked at the way a girl knelt, but I didn't look at the way she thought. I was so afraid of a city woman that I brought a snake into my own son's bed. "Forgive me, my son. I thought I was protecting our culture, but I was only protecting my own pride." I lifted my mother up. "Mama, it's okay. We both paid for this lesson. You learned that respect isn't in the knees, and I learned that love isn't something you can buy in a village market. We are starting over now." When I got back to the States, the house felt different. It was quiet, but it was a peaceful quiet. One evening, I was sitting on the porch when a car pulled up. It was Brielle. I hadn't seen her in 3 years. She looked at me, then at the children playing in the yard. "I heard what happened, Emeka," she said softly. "I'm sorry it took a tragedy for you to see the truth." I walked down the steps. "Brielle, I was a coward. I chose a lamb because I was afraid of a woman who was my equal. I let my mother's voice drown out the woman who actually loved me when I had nothing. She didn't run into my arms. She's a lawyer, remember? She made me talk. We talked for 4 hours that night. I told her everything, the gin, the lies, the betrayal. She looked at me and said, "I'm not a village girl, Emeka. I won't kneel for your water. But I will stand by your side when the world gets cold. Is that enough?" I smiled, and for the first time in years, it reached my eyes. "It's more than enough, Brielle. It's everything." So, my people, here is the end of my story. I am 32, a father of 3, and a man who finally knows himself. I want to speak to the brothers in the diaspora. Don't let anyone, not even your mother, tell you who to love based on a village label. A woman who is home-trained can still be a professional liar. A woman with open eyes can be the most loyal partner you will ever find. Marriage is not a transaction, it's a partnership. And to the mothers, let your sons breathe. Don't look for a slave to bring into the family, look for a daughter. My house is full of laughter now. Rowan is still visiting, making sure I don't become a Magoo again. John the mechanic still fixes my cars and gives me wisdom. And Jane? She is living in a small apartment with her queens, still waiting for Chitty to come and save her. But Chitty is nowhere to be found, because once the money stopped, the love disappeared. What do you think, my people? Did I do the right thing by burning that card? Should I have forgiven her one more time? Drop your comments below. Tell me your own stories. Let us learn together. My name is Emeka and I am finally free. God bless you all.